Good afternoon and good morning, everyone. This is Vala B, and I'm bringing you another great broadcast with the Kijiji Network. The United African State presents the continent of Africa data issues and possible solutions. Today we have a full panel, and get ready and sit back for a very thought-provoking topic and discussion as we try to unite our people across the diaspora and bring meaningful solutions to the world. Fellas, please introduce yourself and let's get started.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Yes, Adeyemi Adejengbe is
Give
my
us your
name.
name.
I am from Ilarangon, Osun State, Nigeria. So, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Hello. Greetings, everyone. I am Paulo Umaru from Cabo Verde. I want to thank Amiola for organizing this and inviting me. I was for the last 3 years the national coordinator for the Federalist Pan-African movement here in Cape Verde, and now I'm starting a educational cooperative with some fellows here, some Pan-Africanists here in Cape Verde. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ngesilwe. I'm from Ivory Coast, and I'm very happy to be invited here to discuss about this important issue on Africa. I'm going to thank Amiolaga to invite me here. I belong to a youth organization in Ivory Coast called Pan-African Club or University. I'm also the focal point of Thomas Sankara Memorial in Ivory Coast. Thank you. Hello? Okay.
God, can you hear us? Are you there?
Yes, yes.
You want to introduce yourself, God?
Yes, yes.
I think we're having a little technical issue. I can't hear God. I'm not sure if he can hear us. But fellas, if you would like to get started with your discussion, go ahead. I yield the floor.
Well, I can start. I want to first apologize for my English. You know, Cabo Verde is a Portuguese speaker. We have our national language that is Creole, but the official language is Portuguese, and my English is not it's not so sharp. I have some questions here that Amiola sent us. I think the discussion will be around these points. I can start by tell that about statistics and data information analysis, if it is, how can I say, it's trustable. Here in Cape Verde, I can speak for here. I don't know if in the rest of the continent, but I think it's like the same thing. Just to frame it, the National Institute that work with the statistics, it's a political nominee. Well, the chair of the National Institute of Statistics, it's nominated by the government. So it's not an independent, not an, oh, I'm sorry, it's not an independent uh, uh, organization. So it's not. I don't believe it is trustable because politicians have their hand over them. They don't. They will not bring us numbers that is not aligned with the official program, the official speech. So for starting, I want to let you with this let, how can I say, this point that we cannot trust our national organization that lead with statistics, because they will always be aligned with the government agenda. And it is difficult for me to believe they will bring something that it's not aligned with the status quo. For now, I would like to hear from our colleagues here.
Yeah, Adeyemi Adijengbe is my name, like I said earlier. Please signify if you are hearing me. I heard you clearly, Mr. Paulo Umaru, and I resonated well with your point that we cannot trust the government establishment because our governments in Africa were truthfully but sadly established by the imperialists. And since they've been usurping the revolutionary government, when they usurp people like Lumumba, Sankara, Nkrumah, ever since that time, we have been finding it difficult to have pro-black people in our political space. So it's unfortunate that all we have been producing has been puppets of this Western imperialists. So we can probably not trust their data or whatever they put out. Yes, but how do we go about it? How do we go about setting up data? Because as someone said 4 years or 5 years ago, data is the new oil. So it is important that we deal with our data. And because if it should fall into the wrong hands, into the hands of the imperialists, then we are done for.
Can I ask a quick question? Hello? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Um, this question is for Brother Adeyema. Now, when you say this data falls in the hands of the imperialists, Like, exactly what do you mean by that? And what data exactly are you talking about? I yield the floor.
All right. You see, uh, when we talk about data, you know, we talk about everything, the life of a nation, everything that a nation can become, will become, everything can be analyzed and predicted from the data of such a nation. Why do you think the European eugenics are on the agenda of population control? Now let me break it down. Because it is through data we can make censor for any nation. And the importance of censorship, I mean census in nations, is that it gives you the size of your population, and having the population census is helpful in obtaining numbers of people who live in your country and gives you the structure of your society. And with the structure of your society, that informs the structure of your government and the chain of order. So now it gives you the number of people that are taxable, people that can pay tax, adults. So you can separate from your population that, okay, we have 10 million adults, then we have 8 million younglings, and through these, you can predict the amount of revenue, internal generated revenue, you can from tax alone. So having details like, because when you are collecting data, we have your bio data, your professional data, your skills, everything will be stipulated there. What you can do, what you can offer, where you can fit, so and so on and so forth. So this is why Africa in this time needs a database that will be secure from the outside world. Because if you look at the imperialist nations, you can get everything from them, but not their data. Like let's take United States for example. Everyone in the United States have one social security number. There's a reason for that. So one social security number linked to your bank, linked to everything, your passport, your identification, everything. So it makes it easier to track you down. It makes it easier. So if one person is a criminal, then it makes it much more easier to track such a person down. And if another person has a skill that people want to make use of, or let's say the government, as they always do, it makes it easier, and it makes it easier to spy on people. So people like us that are championing pro-black agendas, if our data fall in the hand of the imperialists, it is easy for us to be assassinated. It is very, very easy. So these are the reasons why I feel it should not fall into the hands of the wrong people, the imperialists. But
Okay,
unfortunately, our leaders in Africa are puppets of the imperialists.
absolutely. So, what
Thank
do
you.
you think the solution to be would be to that? Because I grew up in America. I am still in America, and I grew up in America, and I know exactly what you're saying. From the moment we're born, they fingerprint our feet. They put in the stuff that they use to fingerprint the fingers. Like if you get arrested, they put our feet in that as babies and fingerprint our feet on a card and file it away somewhere that we never see it again. They do give a copy to our parents, but they keep a copy too at the hospital, and I don't know where those records went. I don't know where my feet print from 30 some years ago are. And then we're given the paperwork for us to get our social security number is filled out while we're still in the hospital. Our parents filled out that social security number. So you're right. They're able to track our every move. And being that we're living now in a data, you know, the age of data is much, much easier to keep up with us than it ever has been.
Yes, sir.
So when you say keep that information away from the imperialists, then who should be the sole proprietor or the proprietors of that type of information? Who can we trust with that type of information? And is that information really needed? Because when it's easier to track people, it's easier to break down their movements, their struggles against the status quo and the government. So I yield the floor. 1 second.
All right, all right. Thank you, sister. Um, you asked two questions there. That is it required? Yes and no. Because okay, take for instance, we are conscious people, pro-black people, and we are in a community now. With proper data, you as the, let's say, the leader of the community. So with proper data of your community members, you will know who and who to assign to each specific duties. The one with military experience, you assign to maybe the security of the community. Then you will not assign such person to food production or any other things where probably they have little or no experience. So I think in a situation whereby you seek to centralize, to organize, then data is important. It is important. But check the adverse effect of this data if it should fall into the hands of the imperialists, I mean, or someone, even black people that want to actually use it against you. So it is dangerous. Now, before we start using or talking about data, then we need to start changing the people in our government in Africa. And I feel this is where the diasporic Africa needs to come in. We have the resources, we continental Africans have the resources, and because of the the exchange rate in Africa as against the diasporic people, they have the capital. So it is time we need to bridge this gap and start putting conscious people systematically in places whereby we can actually effect a change. Because either we like it or not, it is the data world now. And one way or the other, they will collect people's data. So we are not powerful to stop that. And unfortunately, any data collected now can be used as the collector wants to use it for, because there is no regulations, no nothing, and we are so powerless to stop that from happening. So I think I don't really have a solution for how our data can be used unless we start placing people in political space. We have done it before during the time of Nkrumah, Lumumba, Sankara, Sekou Toure, and so on and so forth. And so that means we can still do it again. But it needs us that are conscious to now key into it and work towards that. Thank you. Hello.
Hello, we're here. Brother Paulo, do you have any rebuttal?
Well, I agree with what was said. The problem is we can't trust who is managing this data right now. We know the African governments, they are puppets of the West, and they will not work or handle this data in the benefit of the people, unfortunately. I see here Cape Verde. We talk about a lot about democracy, but what we are seeing here is kind of a totalitarian democracy. It's not really democracy. We can see it all over the continent. The who is in power do not want to leave the power for the youth or someone with different ideas from them. They will do anything in their reach to maintain the power. So we have a big problem. It's not just the imperialists that we fear. We fear our own governments. They are handle this data to maintain themselves in power. So it's a very difficult situation. From my point of view, solutions. We have to start organizing from the grassroots, organizing, and as Amilcar Cabral did in Guinea-Bissau, start building free zones where people can live and work and handle their issues in other way, not other than the official one. But I see this as a very one way to go, but it will be a very hard way. Otherwise, we don't want more bloodshed in our countries. We don't want more wars here, and we have to sit and start organizing and mobilize our people for another way of doing politics and handle power. I think is the only way, because the establishment they will not allow us to go there and put them down. It happened in all the world. When someone it's rising against them, they will kill him, as it happens here in our country, in our continent, a lot of times. So it happens in the United States also, and all over the world. When someone stands against the establishment, they will pass over him. They will kill him. So this is a very tough situation, and I think the solution is to start working, to organizing and start working in networks like this Amiola has put together for us to exchange experience and point of views and to strengthen each other, because through the normal way, which is political parties and democracy, we see that it is not going to happen. Cabo Verde have 45 years of independence, political independence, and every year we are complaining about the same things. The politicians can't handle, or they don't want to handle the people's problem. We every year we complain about the same thing, and they come and they have the solution. And if we stand, they don't come themselves. They send the police. So it's a very difficult situation, and I only see one way, that is we start organizing from the grassroots and building our own organizations and manage our own data. Have some way of handle and collect and handle the data ourselves, and forget about what the government and the establishment want to do with what they collect. I don't know how it's in your countries, but here in Cabo Verde, I see this as the only way to go.
Absolutely. I have a couple more things I want to say, but before that, I want to see if I can I can hear from everyone. Um, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, but Brother Sulu, Sulue, I'm not sure how to say that. Would you like to chime in and give your 2 cents about the issue?
I'm here, but it will be very difficult to me to have a long speech in English. Yeah, you know, I'm from Ivory Coast, and in Ivory Coast we speak French. Hello?
Yes, well, do
Yeah.
your best. Do your best, brother. We're not asking for,
Okay.
you know.
Okay. So I hear about intervention from our colleagues here, and I think the issue of database in Africa is very important. It's firstly about demography, and in the second hand, it's about the database about natural resource. You see, concerning demographic, you see all in the agenda 2063, African Union through the leadership of the continent think that by 2063 we have to be prosper and and unite. And if we want to develop Africa, we have to have a good database about demography, so African population, and about also database concerning our natural resource. Unfortunately, in I think most of our countries, we are dealing with the issue about identifications and also identity. You see, so it's very difficult today to have a African country to to have a very clear and fair database concerning its population. And even if we have some countries in Ivory Coast, for instance, you have a database, but a lot of this data, a lot of database in Ivory Coast have been financed by America or Europe by a lot of projects. So in every structure, in political and in sanitary, you every database is belong to a institution from Europe or from USA. For instance, you have USID, we deal with sanitary database in Ivory Coast. And you have also a program from Europe who deal with database from education. So we didn't have the autonomy, we didn't have autonomy on this database, and we can't use it as we want as a country and as a independent country. That is unfortunately. And the second aspect of database, I think, which is very important, is database about our natural resource. You see, a lot of countries, even in Ivory Coast, have a big issue to have a clear vision and a clear quantification of, for example, the quantity of oil and of manganese, titan, and so on, and also database from agricultural aspect. You see, so I think if we don't have a clear database about African population, so African population and about our natural resource, it will be difficult to predict and to organize an Africa very prosperity and very developed. So I'm agree with those colleagues who are not trust on the database actually in our countries, because we even our leadership in our country don't have this possibility to use that database like they want, you know. So they have to we have to wait about a study from United Nations or USAID. So one alternative could be to firstly to mutualize our resources about first research and development in Africa. That is very important. I think a lot of difficulty we have is a technique difficulty. For example, to have a database about natural resource, you have to have a kind of technique and technology to prospect and to have and to project the quantity of that natural resource. And the second aspect is the second solution could come from the United Africa, from African Union, um, to build a structure, a continental structure, very power, which can help us to to deal with the difficulty first about the identification of African population and about also identity. You know, we have a big issue about the identity in Africa. So today we can't have a clear aspect vision and a clear database concerning our population. So I think it could be the 2 point as a solution that I can give. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. God, do you have anything to say about the situation? Okay, I'm not sure if he's dropped off or not. So, um, this is what
Hello,
God. Okay, there you go. Go ahead, brother. You
am
got
I
the
on?
floor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, um, Miss Bella. I appreciate the opportunity. And talking about database generally is the new way forward for development. It's not just about the population sensor. It's not just about the numbers and information of the citizens. It's not just about having information. Database is an economic means of a revenue as well. It can serve as economic prospect for a nation because information is money. That's what people don't know about base and data itself. Come to think of it, during the 1962, 1963, 1964, there was a national population, continental population census that was designed by Dr. Sagiafo. I think I'm out. I'm forever out. I don't think
We are
these
with
people with
you.
me.
We hear
Okay,
you.
okay. I think you're not with me. So that was designed by Dr. Nkrumah Osagiafo. As at then, the reason for this population census was to actually have informations of African people, like Chief Adeyemi Adejegbe said earlier when he was introducing database analysis and all of that. You have information, you have prospect of your people, you know where they belong, you know their capacity, you know what they can do at will, at best. It curbs criminality, it curbs mismanagement of national assets and national funds. You know, all of this has to do with community development, or let me say nation development and nation building. Database goes long way if Africa is going to step into the 21st century of development. We need to know what capacity do we have. We need to know how many scientific engineers we have. We need to know how many civil engineers do we have. We need to know how many economists, how many agriculturists, how many architects, how many civil engineers. You know, all of this matter into building our continent. High majority of the construction contract between Nigeria, Cape Verde, and Cote d'Ivoire. I don't know too much of Cape Verde, but I can say Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Nigeria. Majority of these contracts, when we talk about infrastructure development, majority of these contracts are given to Chinese. They're given to Chinese, but it doesn't mean that we don't have civil engineers and infrastructure engineers that can develop all of this. It amounts to how we manage our information, how we manage our data, and Brasilia has also pointed out the economic factor of database, and which is what I think we actually suffering now, and it is major to our sufferness in Africa, because look at our agricultural output to the world. Literally, Africa feed the world informationally, or let me say data means, or database or data analysis wise. The West feed the world, or the Chinese feed the world, which is not so. You can tap people resources, take the resources, refine it into capital and finances, and say people who have provided you the resources are poor. You know, database amounts to the quality of education Black people have. When we talk about data, the way people see data makes me feel, are we ever going to push forward as Black people? Because whatever the Europeans amount to today was founded or was built actually on data economy and services. The whole services European has been giving African or Haitian or whatever continents they choose to go and practice whatever they want to practice. What they give as service is data, which is information. And we ourselves must be prepared, build ourselves, groom ourselves, build our own level of education that we can independently handle our data information, handle the data analysis, the data usage, the data processing. All of these, we just have to know and learn how we must do it. This is why we put the program to the fore, because Black people don't really discuss data. And you cannot even analyze who you are when you don't know what you can do, what you are, and what you have. We don't know. And to phantom solutions to data problem, it has to go to re-educating the people. I've always said, wherever you need change, wherever you want to build a nation, you start from education. We know we are indoctrinated in Africa. We don't have education quite well. But to build a United States of Africa, you cannot build another burning spear without a data information, data management, data processing, and data analysis usage. You know, we cannot be talking of a United States of Africa without a data inclusive Africa. We cannot be talking of building a united continent, even under the blocks that we have. We've got ECOWAS, we've got the SADC, we've got the Northern Regional, we've got the Mid or Central African region. We've got, even with the blocks that we have, can ECOWAS as a block come out boastfully and say in West Africa, we have 500 million or 1 billion? Can Sadiq come out and say they are 2 billion or 1 billion? You know, all of this amounts to lack of organization. And when we say organization, it's not grouping of people. Africa as a continent is lacking organization in terms of resources, in terms of education, in terms of data, in terms of information, in terms of science, and in terms of infrastructure and development, you know. And the basic thing that brings organization to people is data information and database analysis, data processing. Because once you have this database, you can then know what you want to do with the information in front of you. That is why we have the issues of headers in Nigeria, and that is why we have the issues of Boko Haram in West Africa, because these people are the part of African system we don't know. Are they part of West African system we don't know. Why don't we know? Because we lack data information and database. That is why we are still where we are today, because we don't even understand the criticality and the logicality and the engineering aspect of database in our life as African. Let me shut it there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, brother God. So I will move back to my concern because I've heard everything that everyone has said with managing this data that you all are talking about. The information that you're talking about gathering, falling into the wrong hands could be catastrophic to us all. Um, we can survey all of our engineers and scientists and doctors and lawyers and all of those things, but what are we going to really do with that information? I think coming from the diaspora, especially in America, I see the negative effects firsthand of gathering so much information on its people. They can be tracked, they can be targeted, and as we've seen from our great revolutionaries in the past, it could get you killed very quickly when it does not line up with the status quo of who is in power. So, with that being said, are we going to gather this information and take it and build our own cities around the governments? Or are you talking about building this information, rallying the people, and then overturning those governments? Like Brother Paulo said earlier, none of y'all want any bloodshed in your countries, but you got to understand the reason that we're in the situation that we're in now is because of fear, violence, and bloodshed. Our enemy did not get to their standing in peace. They got to it on the backs and on our backs and with our blood. And if we're not willing to stand up and make the meaningful sacrifices that needs to be made, then what are we really doing? Where are we really going with this? Like, are y'all going like Biafra? It's a good example of people trying to get away from their government and it becoming a total blood slaughter. Now, I will give it that I feel like from what I understand of what happened in Biafra is the people were starved to death and killed. They were cut off and isolated, and that is how it ultimately fell because there was no real self sustainability and self reliance within the people. So, how can something like that be combated? Because the things that y'all are talking about doing are very doable. We can all separate, gather our numbers, see who can do what. Are you a builder? Are you a scientist? Are you an engineer? What can you do? We come together, we build these things, but how will we protect them? Because as you all have acknowledged, the governments in your countries, your respective countries, are puppets. to imperialism. And we've let this go on so long that I'm not trying to be negative, but any real stance against them, not having the power, especially in weaponry and defense that they have, will always come down to some type of blood bath. So gathering the numbers and educating the people will help, but how are we going to defend anything that we build? Because, like I said, I come from the United States and I see all of the negative aspects of going against your government. They will blacklist you, turn the people against you, and then you will end up dead, like Gaddafi. He was trying to unite Africa with a one continent
Hello,
currency.
hello.
Yeah, I'm here. He was trying
Yeah,
to unite Africa with
yeah,
a one world
yeah.
currency, and
Let
that
me, let
failed.
me,
Hold on one
let me.
second, God. I let everybody talk before I talk.
Okay, okay, okay.
And look what happened to him. Obama came in, seeded, and him and Hillary seeded discord into the country, had him killed in the street like a dog, and now look at his country in disarray. So how will all of this data um, gathering and organizing be defended? I know I'm getting a little bit away from the core conversation, but that also has to be part of it. I yield the floor.
Yeah, of course. You have to be part of it. You are the host, and but in reality, with what we face with what we face in West Africa or in Africa as general, I majorly I don't see the government as the problem. They are minority. I see the people as the problem, and when I see the people as the problem, is because we also that we are awoken, we do less job, we teach less people, we get to mix with less people because we want to keep some certain status and all of that. But nonetheless, with us having an African database, it can only happen when all African want it to happen. Like I've always said, nobody and no one is going to do the duty of the people on their behalf until the people themselves knows it is time, it is African time, and it is black time. When it is not black time, nobody is going to call it black time. You cited an example of Biafra. That is not a good example because in as much as I want a united Nigeria, I'm not against their will, I'm not against their wish, I'm not against their struggle. As a citizen of Africa, as a citizen of any nation, you can secede, you can want your nation at any point in time as far as you are ready for the battle. But it's not a good example, if I will say, because the major aim of any awoke black people, or let me say any wakened black people, should be taken towards uniting the nation and breaking the borders the more, or in a way that we can, not us thinking of making more borders, because if they're going to break Biafra out of Nigeria, they are going to make more borders, and it's going to make it more difficult for us to go in this direction that we want to go. Then there is no way you can't be thinking of the solution and leave the people behind. We are never going to leave the black people behind. The first thing that the black people is owing any conscious black man or black woman is to educate them. If we flow on the same kind of energy, and if we flow on the same kind of level of education, if we flow for blackism, and if we flow for black nationalism and Pan-Africanism, I think our journey is not far. But you see, divided nation, divided people, different languages, different background, different education, different understanding, different ideology, and different religion, and all of that is enough reasons to break up. And the only way that can amount to us defending whatever data we are, even if we are going to get the data in the first in the first place, because we are not going to get any data without having people educated. The people will let you count them if you are educated, and they will give you information, truthful information, if they are educated. If we are going to work with this recent government, it's a no-no. And revolution by gun is not the solution in the 21st century. The only solution is the people got the power. If the people can shut down the nation, they can shut down the nation. It's possible. Let us have the 250 million Nigerians on the street of Nigeria and tell me how many are those who are ruling us. This is vicious. These are visible things. These are visible solutions that we have. That is why I will never join any organization that set a date, that set a program for revolution. It is not done like that. You educate the people until the people call for the revolution. You don't revolt ahead of the people. The people will revolt ahead of the organizer. That is how it works. If you go and read the Cuba Revolution, if you go and read there's a highland on the Northern America, Granada Highland, with Bishop Philip's revolution. If you go and read that revolution, you will see that the people are far ahead the revolution. They are far ahead the organizer, because they are aware of what they were going through. I think what we should focus on is not to lament on behalf of the people, but for us to keep teaching the people and showing them the amount of knowledge that we have gathered and the amount of informations that we have on our table that can get them to thinking to reality, what we are facing. We know the negativity of data. That is if the data could eventually fall into the hands of the evil ones. But if we get the data, protect the data, when I say we, I mean the black people. I don't mean a certain organization, because I don't believe in the liberation of my people relying on an organization. No, it's a duty of all African people. And when all African people is awoke, and when we are doing everything, we are doing it and we are guiding it jealously. Thank you. That's my view.
Anybody else want to chime in before I make a couple of more points? Anybody has anything else to say?
May I?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, I agree mostly with everything that was said, but I still think that our governments, they are in the epicenter of all our current problems. We have to deal with the government in some way, and also to get this data, to collect this data, to treat it, and do something useful with it. I think we should be organized in some way. I can't see how we will accomplish this great leap if we are not in some way organized. We here in Cabo Verde, after how can I say, observing all this, all we have talked here, we decided that education is the way to go. I think someone told something like that. Education is the way to go. So we are building educational cooperative, so we can start working with our communities, our children, and the youth
People are in
in
this
general.
program.
Yes, yes. So that is the way. It's not. How can I say? It's not so a very fast way, or it's not for today or for tomorrow. It's for the generations to come. We have to start now working to prepare the new generation so they can in some way be organizing to take the power from these so-called politicians. And our first step is to make a census. I don't know how is the name in English. Let me see. Is I think it's a census. Yes, collect data from.
A consensus.
No, a census. A census.
A census. Yeah, a census.
To collect data of every sort from the community where we will start working with, so we can know who is who, what is the resources we have in this community, what is the skills we have in this community, what is the structures that are presented in that community, so we can plan. But we are aware that we cannot trust the official data. So we are putting together. Let me see the correct word. I'm with an inquiry. That's it. An inquiry, so we can collect this data and in the second stage treat it, so we can come with the insights over the community and how we can work with them. That is, I think, when we are talking about the data analysis and collecting, as Amiola said, data is power, and this, in my point of view, is a way to go. So we are building educational cooperative, so we can start working in several fronts. There are, for the beginning, 4 fronts. One is put together, build a Pan-African school. The second one is to build a program of political and community intervention. The third is it's coming with a publishing house, so we can publish our own material, our own books, and we can translate whatever we want. We know here in Cape Verde we have no access to relevant books and material, so we can study. And so we are putting together a publishing house so we can publish, translate whatever we feel it's better for our struggle. And fourth, it's a program that we are calling it traditional production system. So we can make agriculture and come with a sustainable community, a sovereign community. So if we succeed with this community, we believe that other communities will be motivated to follow these steps. So in the time, we believe will be more than what the government represents today. So in that time, we believe we'll be talking in changing the way things are done here. But it will take time. It will need us to be organized. It will request us to be in networks, in continental networks, because we know that we are not the only one doing this. We know that in several countries we have successful experience in this way, and we need to work hard. So this can come alive, can be done reality. So the government, unfortunately, will not help us doing this. And not only the government, everybody that supports that this government, starting from the imperialists. So who financial founding our governments. We know that here in Cape Verde, for example, the biggest part of the national budget is financed from external countries, from Europe, United States, World Bank, FME, and so on. They will not allow us to do something that disarrange this frame, this picture. So it has to be a work done by ourselves, and we hope that not going against any law, they will leave us doing what we are doing. We will not be doing publicity. The word is, I'm here, publicity, advertising this kind of work, because we know if we have a lot of light over this kind of work, we attract attention from who don't want us to do this kind of thing. And we hear from people here in Cape Verde that they will stand against such a initiative, such a cooperative. So just to finalize, that's it. We have to be organized, we have to be in networks, and we have to collect our own data so we can trust it and we can work with it in the way we think it's best for our struggle here. That is the liberation, the complete liberation of our countries and our people. We know that in this moment we are only politically liberated, but economically and culturally we depend on the West, unfortunately. That is the status of this of it is our situation right now. That's it for now. Flores.
Good morning.
How are you?
Oh, I am good. Blessings to everyone. I'm very, very honored to be on this platform this morning to share some information and to discuss private initiatives that we could take that could also turn into large public initiatives to move our agricultural production in the Pan-African world, at home and abroad, in a way that is beneficial to our people via the collection of our own information, yes, and workings of our own scientific agricultural projects wherever we may be. As you all know, I am doing a cactus project here in Belize at the Garifuna Republic, called that way because of some independence that we want to claim as an entity within the country of Belize. You know, fella did the Pulaputa, but we're doing the Garifuna Republic. Cactus, why cactus? You know, that becomes a question there probably for most people. I will say cactus is a plant that will survive in some of the most worst environmental conditions, requiring only minimal water. When you have a plant with that capacity alone, puts the African world in the matrix of it, because yes, we tend to be in some of the most hottest places, most arid places, not necessarily the most coldest places, which also cactus can endure as a plant. And cactus is also moving forward in the world as one of the most progressive agricultural planting, so to speak, in production and the capacity to grow it anywhere, basically in buckets everywhere, on rooftops in Hong Kong, in basements in greenhouses, wherever there is a little bit of sun and water, you can grow. And the cost of it, by the way, is also one of the most, at this point, the most expensive fruits in the world. And if you do like the Google, they will ask questions like, why is pitaya, the dragon fruits, so expensive? And they will say, because the demand is more than the ability for the producers to produce. So it becomes a very expensive plant. And besides also the horticultural value to bourgeois gardening, it's really $1 million industry. But again, I was saying about the conditions, and again, the cactus and its conditions. Israel is the leading columnar cactus fruit producer in the world right now. They produce what I'm doing here, the cereus. They produce a fruit from the cereus which they ship to France under the name of Koubou. I think Koubu. However, for Israel, its location to turn the desert, their desert and arid areas, into agricultural bases, fruit producing agricultural bases, is something that any country in, say, Central Africa, South Central Africa, North Africa, areas that have arid, dry weather, can begin to emulate in the production of fruit. I call the dragon fruit, again, the African fruit of the future. Why? Because a dragon fruit cutting, one cutting, you get one. And in a year, you can have 10 or 15 cuttings from that one cutting. In 2 years, you can have 50 or 60. It's a very progressive plant. It never dies. Continually, you cut a piece, you set it someplace, and it grows another plant. With having plants that are producing fruit in 8 months, 9 months, that are easily maintainable, again, can do prolonged periods without water. It can survive very well in places that have water shortages here and there, and do very well. And you're producing a fruit that is very expensive to feed your community, feed yourself, and feed the world as well. Because what we have noticed that, again, the progressive nature of these cactus, that they continually keep growing. You cut a piece, you put it in the ground, it grows. You cut another piece, you put it in the ground, it grows. I say, to have access to those kinds of fruit products, cuttings and whatnot, we again have to take independent venture as African people and say, look, I can do this. Like where I am now in Belize, I can do this. Now, if say somebody in Africa wants 100 cuttings, 200 cuttings, we make the links and we say, yes, we could provide you with that. As a matter of fact, we're not even going to charge you. You pay for the freight when it gets over there and show us pictures of your cultivation. That's sharing. And that's doing it for ourselves without anyone in the matrix. We start as a group of people who are interested in doing these things and say, yeah, let's do it. It can happen. But somebody has to create the base. Something I have been doing for a long time as an African revolutionary in Belize is putting together a base where African people could come and study. If in the African revolutionaries can come and study, can come and do work, could get away from problems at home for a few years or whatnot, in the process though, still connecting to the world and doing something that we have each other to depend on in certain kinds of ways. It takes the individuals within us as revolutionaries to start to create, to make those bases for ourselves, by ourselves, but with the idea that this is what we have the capacity to do when we are needed, when it is also needed, and when our people are ready, and say, hey, Mike, do you think I could get 1,000 pieces of cuttings over here? I say, yes, I could start to prepare that for you. You just have to do what you need to do so we can get it over there. But again, this all comes with information. For me, it took a moment in terms of growing as a farmer. I have been doing this work that I do here on this land for over 30 years. When I acquired this land, I got it as a jungle. I cleared and designed and landscaped and planted and cultivated over the years to have it in terms of what it looks like in those pictures that some of you might see. But yes, we started at a ground base. I bought it initially at $100 an acre. I bought 10 acres. That was $1,000 then. Today I could say maybe 10 million, but that's just. But saying the sacrifices that come along with doing these things to reach where we are is the happiest moments of my life at this time, to say though that yes, I can provide something to the struggle and the growth of my people, if nothing else but information, and behind that information some material support to say, look, yes, we can do this. So I will leave you by saying that I urge that we start, or someone in our groups begin to start researching things like that casually. Dragon fruits, cactus fruits, pitayas. I look at Israel, to be honest with you, I look at Israel with what I'm doing because they are in the forefront in leading the research, the agricultural research in the production of this fruit. And so far, using their methodology in what I am doing here, I do see the fertility and the increase, the changing process of a culture. Because these cactuses here, even the Belizean people have not known that they were cactuses that produce fruit. Somehow they ended up in the country and they were believed to be some kind of ornamental decoration or something of that nature. No, it is a fruit producing cactus called a Peruvian cactus apple. They have been around for hundreds of years. In Mexico, it's called a pitaya. In different places in Central America and the Caribbean, they're selected as pitaya fruits. But the situation is knowing the agricultural sciences about them to fertilize them in order to get the fruit from them. And that is just that little piece of information there has kept us here in Belize never knowing that these cactus produce fruits until I embarked on this little motion and started doing this work now in my community. There's a new capturing of the imagination because the people did not know that cactus produce fruits. Hence, a massive interest now in the work that I am doing because they want to see that. They say, oh man, I've never seen the fruit. Look, there's a fruit on the cactus. I've never seen this in my life. I said, and they have been living around these cactus. Again, the information, the constant information I urge, research, scientific approaches, and continuous individual efforts to do what has to be done. I say we could do this as a hobby, more or less, in terms of scientific research, to share information, to build a club that collect all these data and share these information with African farmers. Anybody wants access on information on cactus production, on pitaya production, on dragon fruit production, on cotton, we have the necessary people around that we can call and ask questions and be guided, or I get up to the point of collection. I could go on and on and on, but I've been reserving some time here. I have some other people doing something up there, and I needed to share with you, brothers and sisters, in terms of what's going on here. Quick synopsis. Always remember, well, you know, I'm on the IPC of the Pan-Africanist Federalist Movement, and as such, you know, I am here. I tell people most of the time, whatever I can do, if it's in the work for the African unification, reach out. Whatever we can support, if it's work for African unification, reach out. Whatever we can do, if it's work to share information with our people, reach out. We are here. We are here. Continue sending me these invitations. I will always make myself available as much as I can to participate, contribute, and share what I can. And I hope that we have a very productive session after this because I say goodbye. I bless everyone, and until you need me again, Aniola, uh, Paulo,
Yes, Mike.
I say goodbyes. Have a good
Okay.
session, no?
Okay. Thank you. Was
Thank
glad
you
to
very
see
much for
you.
inviting me.
Bye-bye.
Father. Okay, Father. Thank you. Thank you for your time. We appreciate, Father. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming on. And we will always get to you when we are done organizing ourselves, because we just have to head somehow, some way. We have to do something. We just have to keep working. We have to keep educating our people. And social media is important. Um, Networking is important. Um, Communication is important, like Brother Umaru have said. We need to educate our people, and we need such platform. We need to have more YouTube networks that can pass African information and African propaganda to the world. Thank you, Father. Thank you so much. Sis Bella,
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
you can handle everything. You're the host, ma'am.
I know I'm the host, but this is your all's show. I had a couple of more points that I wanted to make, so that we can get back to the topic at hand. Because I just it's like I being that I've been in this place my whole life. Some of the things that y'all talk about, I don't see how it can be done without extreme means.
Well,
And it's like the great ancestor France Fanon once said, decolonization is always a violent phenomenon.
exactly.
That the extraordinary importance of this change is that it is willed, called for, and demanded. That is what he said. And no matter how we mix it or how we try to maneuver around it, anything that we try to take back as our own and to empower ourselves is going to come with extreme pushback. And we cannot be afraid if we really about this life and about the liberation of our people and the things that we deserve and taking back Sankofa, what's been taken from us, reaching back and going back to what was taken from us, then we're going to have to be ready to do some extreme things. And like you said, brother God, that you was like you didn't think Biafra was a good example. um I think it was a very good example. The people were fed up, they were tired, and they decided to form their own nation. And is that not what we are talking about doing? We are drawing borders. We are drawing a line in the sand between the colonizers and ourselves. And we cannot wait for everyone to be on board with the plan in order to get something done. I always tell my colleagues at the Kijiji Network that it's always quality over quantity. We cannot wait for everyone to fall in line. And then we do something because we've already waited long enough to the point that our enemy is so strong
Hmm.
that this
Hmm.
will take generations in the making. This could take 200 years.
Hmm.
We,
I agree.
this could take 200 years.
I agree.
We've let them waiting for everyone to get on board. We're grossly behind in the first place. So if it takes us building little groups like what Biafra was trying to do just to get something done, then so be it. But we have to be ready that if they call on us, these little groups call on us, that we can come to action and we can defend ourselves properly. Because we talking about the enemy has the ability to drop nukes on our head and everything and destroy everything in one drop. We seen that
True.
what they did in
True.
Hiroshima.
True. True.
That land, what it's been, what, 60 years or something? I don't get, charge the time and the information to my head, not my heart, but it's been so many years ago and that land is still unlivable. They
Yeah,
have the
true, true.
power to do that. And as you will see with how the world is progressing, our enemy is willing to kill themselves just to kill us. How do you combat an enemy like that? When they don't mind dying, but it seems like we do too. But they don't mind dying for what they believe in and keeping their stronghold, but we are scared to do what we have to do.
My sister,
Yes,
can I chip in?
go ahead.
Yeah, I understand your plight and I understand your worries, and I have quite same worries. But at the same time, when we want to start doing things, we don't think or look at the adversity. Yes, we don't need to wait for everybody on board. But why we educate people, we are not idle. Education is far more expensive than execution. We must take our time. We must take the time, 200 years, 500 years. We must educate the people because if you are going to revolt on the album of the people and they are not there, you will be eliminated or you will be highly criticized in the society. Why we don't fear that? What we fear is why we are criticized and why we are eliminated. Will the people understand why Nkrumah died,
Hmm.
why Sankara died,
Hmm.
why Lumumba died, and why Stevie Biko did not live to see South Africa? Why did Chris Ani have to die by gunshot? There's just numbers of people that we can talk about. They are great teachers of lifetime, you know. But we must just understand that if it is not our own generational rights to break the yoke or to cut the course, we can't do beyond what life is going to push at us. But when you talk about us organizing a little group, I am in. We can always organize. There's no problem we organizing ourselves. The problem I have when we organize is that we don't have the same tonnage, the same direction,
Hmm.
the same understanding, the love that we have now that we are yet to organize. They miss and they lost away after we gather a group and someone wants to have the feelings of taking advantage of what we have built. This has always been the case with African people. That
Yeah.
is why I said, for us to have a genuine liberation, we must have larger number. When I mean larger number, it's not like we must have the whole African continent, but we need larger political understanding number. Who can write, who can talk, who can pass our message, who can scientifically operate, who can get things done. We need finance, we need our land, we need our philosophy, we need our ideology. All of these has to come to a bigger amount, Sis Bella. So it's not just about we talking and we passing most energy on the phone or what, but it's about we actually organizing. It's raining here already. So I think I can leave the group because it's raining here. My network could be bad at any time. And but sincerely, I think we will talk on the background after the program because we have to discuss something that we've not seen before. Thank you. Sis Bella, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Absolutely.
Yeah, we will
Um,
talk after the program. Then I
okay.
will connect everybody that has spoken today and we can see what we can do for the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, you're right. We fail in organizing. And then once we do organize, things fall apart because of egos. That, like you said, that's always been a problem of ours. And it's like it's failed to be understand that our enemy transcends different continents, different ethnicities, different languages, just as we do. And they are always seems to be willing to drop their differences in order to band together against us. And until we take a page or two out of the book of our enemy, then we are never going to get anywhere. We have to learn how to take a page or two out of their book because if you ask me, it's an excellent written book because it worked for how many hundreds of years. Their model plan and domination and prospering works. And we have to get back to the roots of why it worked. We cannot keep on this blame game of pointing fingers at each other um, because it doesn't work. And while we're pointing the fingers, they're still gathering up the loot. They're still pillaging Africa. They're still pillaging the islands. They're still taking what was rightfully ours. We might as well handed it over because they damn sure got it. And like one of the commenters is saying, I put up his comment. We have been too docile.
Yeah, with those are.
We would
It's
not
true.
we would not achieve anything by being that. The names you mentioned did not achieve all this by doing nothing. And he's
It's true.
absolutely right.
It's true.
He's absolutely right. We've been too docile, and like I said, our time has almost run its course because we've let our enemy get so powerful that they're damn near invincible when we look at them in our eyes. We've basically
True.
handed over our birthright, which is this planet. We are the sun loving people of this planet, and everything on this planet thrives in the sun, except for the majority of our enemy. So
True.
if anybody
True.
else belongs here, it is us. And we have given over our whole birthright for what? More than likely, we know more so we've let it been taken from us by a creature that doesn't even deserve it. A creature that everything they touch, they kill, they maim, they destroy. Name one place that our enemy have went and they left it alone. They left the ecosystem alone. They left the people alone. They let that area just thrive. We've
True.
come into an epicenter of destruction. And we're seeing it unfold in front of us. And until we are ready to do the hard thing, until we're ready to do what needs to be done, we're going to be in pockets of small groups of us like we are now that understand what's going on and trying to fight back. But a global scale change is not going to be met. It's not. And we're going to have to start out small. Like you said, these, and I think that drawing the line is the best way. How do we obtain land and build our own villages and our own little cities? How do we group and um get people that know how to do things from the ground up? Where is our builders? Where are our scientists? Even though we don't have a global or a African wide data system where we know where everybody is and what they can do, what about the person that you know, your neighbors, the people in your immediate vicinity? I'm pretty sure all of y'all right now could name out at least 5 people you know that can do something that from the ground up build a small village or a small city.
I can even do that myself.
Exactly. All of us, 5 people, right off the top of the head. But unfortunately, I don't really have that privilege because they keep us on a different type of grind than they do y'all there. We were
I agree. I know
colonized.
what you're saying.
We was
I
colonized
know.
just a little bit differently. And to go
Yeah.
back to one of the comments in the beginning of the program that brother Paulo said was about Africans in America having the capital. That's not that's not totally true. Now, the money that we may get going there might convert into something bigger, but the grind here and the cost of living keeps
It's I.
the majority of us living hand to mouth, to the point
Yeah.
that I've talked to so many African Americans that want to see the motherland, but they can't afford to. They
They
can't even
can't.
pay. They
It's
can't even pay for
expensive to
the
come
plane.
here.
Exactly. They can't even pay the plane ticket alone to get there.
That's true. That's
So
true.
what are we doing to help the ones of us that y'all know can help y'all get
Yeah.
there?
The only way we can help right now is for us to foundationally build a movement, an organization that we can say, Sister so is coming from US. She don't have the capacity. Let every member drop $1 and bring her here and give her accommodation, click the person into the system, because all these issues does not bound to men or women. It bounds to all of us, male, female. Lot of people who wants to come to Africa, they don't have the finance capacity, they don't have the knowledge, even with the traveling procedures. When you want to travel to Africa, it's got a lot of more traveling procedures than African person traveling out of Africa,
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Shots and visas.
because they want you to come there easily and come to slavery.
Yeah,
They know for our black people that are leaving Europe and coming to Africa, they want to leave and come to freedom. They don't want them to see the freedom.
exactly. You're absolutely right. And then we also, but I think that the first thing that we have to look at, and you talk about re-education, is the perception. Like
It's the
brother,
preamble.
brother Paulu was talking about, we got the capital. No, sir, we do not. No, sir, we do not have the capital. A lot of us do not.
Uh,
The majority.
I'm sorry, but I did not tell such a thing, huh? It was
Okay,
not
no,
me.
no, no. I'm not trying to badmouth you or anything. I'm
No,
just
brother Malu,
bringing.
she's not
Though,
trying to
though,
make
but
you lower. She's
but
No.
trying to make
I did
us
not tell
have the perspective.
such a thing. I did not talk about capital and about.
Exactly.
Okay, not it was not
Oh,
me.
it wasn't you. I'm so sorry if it wasn't you. But one of you said something about the capital, and I just want to.
Maybe it was our brother Mike Flores.
No, it wasn't him. It was early in the program, so it must have been someone else. I do
Okay.
apologize that it wasn't you, but I
Uh,
do need to disband this misconception. We have to do that right here and right now. That misconception that we have the capital to come over there when the majority of us are under the poverty line. We not even at the poverty line. We under the line. Look at the line and then look way under it, and there we go. That's us. Hand to mouth. A lot of us live hand to mouth, and it's at a point that the situation is so dire here to the point that a lot of us is educated. A lot of us have several degrees, 1, 2 advanced degrees, but yet our counterparts can get out of high school and get a job and make more than we make, and we got several degrees over them. They pay us lower on purpose. And then we are looked at as, oh, well, you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, I did this. Why didn't you do this? Not, negating the social roadblocks that we go through. But that's the thing I'm saying. I want to get back to that point, and then we can start to end this program, that it has the misconception before we even the groundwork. If you want our help, so over here, if you want us to help y'all over from here and come there to help build and put up a stand and fight for all of our liberation. Some of the misconceptions, just like we have misconceptions about y'all, so I'm not. So please don't look at it like a one-way street, like I'm just bagging on y'all and bad mouthing y'all. We have our misconceptions of what they were told, what we was told about y'all also. But the misconception of us here, that y'all see as us having all of this wealth and we're in the land of milk and honey and opportunity, those opportunities is not afforded to a very mass majority of us. And when we come to the continent, us that do have the privilege of making it there, we fought to make it there. And we can and then it's become a thing where we make it there and then it's like y'all run us home because of the misconception that y'all have that we have this, so we should give and we have it to give. So, oh, if I do this to you, you can replace it easy because you come from here and you have all of this. But I yield the floor to that. That's the first, but that's the groundwork I feel like that we need to look at next. I yield the floor. Anybody else want anything else? Has anything else to say before we end this program? You have the floor.
Yes, maybe I can just add that side by agree with you all that it's time that we stop complaining and start working hard. Let's build these networks and exchange experience and work. We here we have the lucky one of our sister have a portion of
This
land,
is the
and
exchange.
we start our educational cooperative with about 5 families and a community that already exists in this place, and try to build something different from and I think that's what we should start doing. We here we are inspired by Amilcar Cabral and what he did in Guinea-Bissau, and it's kind of the same experience building what they call in that time the free zones that we must start building, and we mix with the concept of per ankh, of our ancestors of Kemet, and what we are really trying to build is a per ankh, educational place, but not just for education, but all living aspects, all we need to work to have a healthy community. We will be working in this place to try to come with a model maybe that can be reproduced. But that's it. We have to start building things, and as Amilcar Cabral said, also he talked about class suicide. That we have to come out of our comfort zone. We are we live in big cities, and we have all these gadgets and things that supposedly makes our living easiest, but that's not the way. We have to leave this thing behind and go back to land, to work the land, to gain our sovereignty. The first step for our sovereignty is to produce what we eat, our food. If we do not produce our food, will be forever depending from the West. So it's what happened here. The majority of illness that we see in the local health care, so in the hospitals, are produced by wrong food habits. We eat a lot of industrialized food and a lot of poison that come from abroad. So if we do not start producing what we eat, we will be forever enslaved. So it's our point of view, start working in what we believe is the way to come out of this situation. It's go back to the farm, work the land, produce our food, and organize in other models, not this kind of liberal democracy that it's not working. It's not working here in our continent. It's an imposed political system that come from the West, and it is the number one cause of corruption here. This liberal democracy, it does not work here. We can also this economical system, capitalism. We are not against one work and have your own stuff, but we have to see how in a community one person cannot be starving when all other is belly full. You know, we have to search for other way to organize economically, or to organize political and educational also. So this is our challenge here, and fortunately we have a lot of material already written about how to go. Our ancestor Sheikh Anta Diop leave us with some insights. Amilcar Cabral also leave us with a lot of insights about this way. So, and we have others. We have others that we can use to inspire us and to lead us in how to do things in practice. So this is my last intervention. I think this is the way we should go. And talking about data analysis, it's the same thing. We have to build our own system of collecting and analyzing data, so we can be really independent and not wait for these governments to do this. They, as we said in the beginning, they are just puppets of the West. They are here putting or pushing forward the West agenda. Africa, it's not for Africans. It's for the future of Africa is for the West. What they want, and the Chinese are here also trying to take their piece. So if we do not organize, if we do not go and start working directly with the grassroots, I don't see any future for basically for my children and my grandchildren. This work is to be done not for us, but it's to be done for the future generations. I believe I will not see in my time life such a big change. But if we start now preparing the future generations, maybe they will have a land to work on it. Maybe they will have a future different from what we have now. So this is my message. This is my belief. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Palu. Um, and with that said, we will end this program. I would like to give a thanks to everyone that joined the panel, everyone in the comments, and until next time, thank you for joining us at the Kijiji Network for this broadcast. Everyone have a beautiful day.